There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Live Sessions. I'm here with Bad Honey, and we have Matthew, we have Vaughn, and we have Wes. And I'm so excited because this is you guys are actually on our very last show of the season, and we get to go out with a bang. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and how you got into the band and got into music? Wes
Sure.
or Matthew, we'll start with you.
Sure, I can start. My name is Matthew. I am the rhythm guitarist and lead singer of the band. I am the original founder of the band years and years and years ago, which originated back in Connecticut, actually,
Oh,
as a cover band from oh gosh, what was the year? It was probably 2014, 2015, something like that. I had started with one of my friends at the time that I went to college with, and then we moved out to Seattle and kept it going. And then this is kind of this lineup is all new members except for me. So it's kind of like a new rendition of the band,
yeah.
which is super exciting. But yeah, the band's been around for a bit now, but I feel like it's kind of has a little bit more of a resurrection. The person I'd started with had moved away, and at that time I thought the project was over because we
Yeah.
were working together. And then Vaughn can kind of go into how he got involved. I won't take his thunder, but Vaughn basically approached me and we kind of put the band back together, and it's kind of like a combination of two different bands. To make a mega band.
Make a
But
band.
yeah, mega band. That's the way we like to look at it. But yeah, so it's been really really cool. And so yeah, I guess my involvement is just more that I started back in the day. My first band I ever started. One of the songs is one of the first riffs I ever wrote, which
Wow.
is pretty cool to kind of still have that. And it morphed a lot, but in terms of the original riff, and for people wondering which song that is, it's Little Thief. So which is pretty cool that was able to actually make it on a recording. So
Yeah,
um
that's a lot of people don't have that. Where
no,
their very first songs they ever write are on whatever they've done, going
well,
forward. So that's cool.
yeah, well, the original songs were really supposed to be a demo for the band, just to get shows.
Yeah.
And long story short, basically the person, I had a friend that was like, "Oh, these are pretty good. You should record. You should." My boyfriend is an audio engineer. He'd help you out. And long story
Wow.
short, they helped us record it and really professionally, and it sounds really great.
Yeah.
And it just kind of turned into a really nice sounding demo, um,
Yeah. That's
which I
cool.
thought was the right move. Looking back, I think it made us, it polished it a little bit more, where it's super challenging to record your own music, and I think
Yes, it is.
they wouldn't shine like they do, I think, without that. But anyways, that's kind of a little background from my perspective. You want to go, Vaughn? You want to take it away?
Yeah.
You're just below me.
Yeah, well, maybe you
Yeah.
should just real quick introduce the member who's not here today
Oh,
and talk
sure.
about how JoJo got in
Yeah.
the band. You have one
Yeah,
guy
yeah, I can talk
down,
to
so why don't
JoJo.
you talk about JoJo for just a minute? Then
Yeah, yeah, because JoJo, yeah, he got involved a bit before these two. So JoJo's the bass player. He does some backing vocals as well, and also it's kind of like the band audio engineer slash mixer. Super talented with
That's
that, which is
cool.
really awesome.
Yeah.
That our recent release, Hellbound, he helped us record all that. Obviously, he played
Okay.
on it. But he did all the audio engineering. He mixed it. So that's all him, which is really awesome to have that.
That's
Because
so cool. Saves you
yeah,
guys a lot of money.
yeah, for sure. And just I mean, honestly, I mean, money is one thing, but it's just the ability to do that. It's a
That
specific
too.
skill that I've tried myself that
Yeah.
just doesn't seem to work. So it's
I
nice
can't
to have.
either.
It's hard. It's like an
Yeah.
interesting balance of art and science, I guess, with the
Yeah. It
technology.
really is.
And
Yeah.
Wes is pretty good at it too. So, and he actually recorded. I should give him credit because actually was the one that recorded the drums for it, which is typically the hardest thing to record. Is the
Yeah,
drums. So
it really
he
is.
did a good job with that. So
Yeah,
we
hence
got
my fancy mic here. It's
yeah yeah
this was actually used as a room mic for
yeah.
the drum track, but
Oh,
yeah,
there you go. There
Yeah.
you
it's
go.
a vocal mic as a room mic.
Yeah,
But
that's interesting. Yeah.
and JoJo's involvement was prior to the person I had started the band with. His name's Chris. we just lost our bass player, and I do video production. I was on a job, and it just kind of came up like, oh yeah, like I'm in a band, and one of the clients I was working for was like, oh, my husband's in a band, like, and he's actually coming by like today, because we were filming actually like a live band at the time, which was really cool. For Casa Latina was the client, but they're like, oh yeah, he's coming by, and so we like met, and JoJo's just like the nicest guy and the sweetest guy, so we just like struck up a conversation. He clearly knew his stuff about music. I was like, hey, you want to? And it's kind of, I always say, like, when you are just starting to play with people, it's kind of like dating. You like kind of feel it out, and you're just like, oh, like, I
Yes.
don't know if this is gonna work. Like,
Yeah.
let's jam a little bit, which is like a date. You go on, like, see how it
Yeah.
feels. And then so we jammed, and we just fit perfectly. He played a couple shows with us, and then you go, hey, like, you want to be part of the band, and like it's
Yeah.
like you want to go steady kind of feeling.
Right.
So he agreed, and then I think it was like 3 months later, Chris moved, and then we kind of went dark. And that was like very quick, kind of his, at least from what I know about it. I mean, unfortunately he's not here to say more about his perspective, but that's basically kind of how he got involved. And his role in the band too. So
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
Sweet.
right.
Well, I'll field it from here. So, yeah, so I'm Vaughn Rodans. I'm the lead guitar player. And you asked 2 questions, like how we got into music and then how we got into the band. So, got into music from listening to Eric Clapton. Like, there's a lot of guitar players, I think, do, hearing the 3,
Yeah.
notes of Layla, and deciding that I have to learn how to replicate those sounds. And it was kind of a bumpy road with like getting into music. I've always felt that like one of the things that I think you can kill a kid with is like my first time I took lessons, like I was learning how to sight read and learning how to play like Mary Had a Little Lamb, which it's like when you're 13, that's not really what you want to do. So
Yeah.
I think that I fell away from it for a little bit and then got back into it later on in life, probably when I was around like 22 or 23, and maybe 22, 23, 24, and just never looked back since. But so getting into Bad Honey was actually, and it is kind of an interesting story. I had never had an intention of getting into Bad Honey. Actually, what had happened was originally, Wes and I have been in bands together for a very long time. Wes and I were in a cover band for a while together, and then original band we were in for a while called Bad with Birds. And how long were you in that for, Wes? Over a year and a half?
2 years ish.
2 years? Yeah, kind of
Maybe a little
formed
longer.
around
I think for me it was 2 years roughly.
Yeah. But so, Wes, I'd already had that connection with Wes, and after a show that Bad with Birds had played with Bad Honey, I was kind of looking for a different outlet musically, to get more of the kind of music that maybe I like to make, which I'm a big blues head, and and Bad with Birds made great hard music, but it didn't always speak to my core as a guitar player and as a musician. And so I hit up Matt, after the show one day, because I'd had his number saved from like pre-show texts, like trying to coordinate. I hit him up and I was like, hey man, like, would you want to talk and maybe do a side project? And, because I listened to a lot of the Bad Honey material before I hit Matt up, like I did my homework on it. And I'm like, okay, this is some heavy, great riff rock, but it's straightforward, and it's just straightforward, good rock. And so we met at Talarico's in West Seattle, and we got into a great conversation. As Matt said, we had a first date, and the first date went well. And so we started doing a little bit of writing, and actually the first song that Matt showed me to do this new project was the song Hellbound, our latest release. And I had never had any intention of like joining Bad Honey, because I didn't want to like horn in on this guy's band and whatever. And we kind of had the intention of starting something fresh. And then one day Matt's like, hey, we've got a lot of the bass ready for this. Do you just want to like relaunch this band? Because it's kind of you thought it was folded, Matt, more or less, and we were like, do you want to relaunch this band? So we talked to JoJo, got him involved, and he was on board. And then so well, we need a drummer, and I said, well, I know the best. And I'd already had
best in the West. That's what we call
the West. West is the best in the West. But no, West and I already had a personal friendship and a working relationship musically for a long time at that point. And so I asked Wes if he wanted to join, and Wes can take it from there in a minute. And then we've been now together, I think the 4 of us, for over a year now, maybe a year and a half, year and 7 months. I don't know.
I think our first show was July 2023, right?
Yeah.
So we've been together before that.
Yeah, like a
A year and a-
year. Yeah, I mean, I think like practicing, like probably like a year and a half.
Almost
year-
2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
I think
Wow,
we
that
first
went
met.
by
I
fast.
think we first met like we got lunch at Slim's Last Chance. I remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
January,
right.
February
Yeah.
2023.
On a dreary, rainy day. I do
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
That's right.
But yes, that's how my involvement came to be, and then Wes can take it from there.
Yeah, I'm Wes Hampson. I play the drums. And yeah, I guess I got started in music. My dad plays drums, and they were always in the house when I was a kid, and he
Yeah.
played with various bands, just in the basement practicing, and blues and rock, and I guess in his past he played funk. But he had this style that was very
That's
jazzy,
cool.
which I thought was really cool. Like he integrated a lot of like jazz licks into his playing, but he wasn't a jazz drummer, but he just liked that style. And I didn't start playing until I was probably about 13. I think I tried to play when I was younger, but I was too small and I was kind of shy. But I heard Green Day and I loved Green Day and I wanted to play I would air drum Dookie just in my room.
Yeah.
I'd sit on the floor and just play the
Yeah.
beats. And I knew I had a mental map of the drum kit already because
Yeah.
I'd seen my dad play and I'd seen maybe a video or two of them. This, 2000, probably 2003 or 4. So
Yeah.
dial up internet, But I could map the sounds of the drums to where they were coming from, so I kind of knew how to play in my mind.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I think I tried to play along and the CD would skip when I hit the bass drum. I was like, okay, this ain't gonna work. And then I got an iPod and I had heard System of a Down. I heard them on the radio as a little kid, loved
Yeah.
them. And then I heard it again when I was older. I was like, oh, it's that band I liked. What the hell are they called? And
Yeah.
then I got their music and then I was like, I want to freaking play this music. And so I remember one day I went home. I was like on the bus ride home listening to Chop Suey and thinking I can play this.
Yeah.
And I just sat at the drums and then just played it. I was like, that was cool. And then I kept doing that. I was like in 8th grade. I just kept like, I want to play this song now. And I would just hear it and then I just play it.
Yeah.
And that became how I learned. And then my dad tried to give me lessons, but I kind of refused. I think because I didn't want to, like Vaughn said, I didn't want to get into that like, oh, I have to sit here and do this tapping thing that I don't really know why I'm doing this. And in retrospect, I see the value of it.
Same.
But I'm pretty happy with my choice though, because I've learned I'm a very like self-discovering. I like to like discover why I need to know this thing instead of just being told you should do this.
Yeah.
And as I play more, I learn, oh yeah, I should practice my double strokes because that will allow me to do these cool fills or whatever. Then I just do that out of necessity. So that method's worked for me. I wouldn't recommend every new musician to go that route unless they really have a drive. But so that's kind of how I got started. And then I put drum covers up on YouTube. That was kind of my motivating factor. There was really no music scene where I grew up, so I didn't really play with anybody except my one friend. We'd listen to like Zappa records up in my room, and then go downstairs and make crazy noises and just do weird jams. And we actually have a recording out of our music called the S10s because we both had Chevy S10s.
Okay.
Great.
That's awesome.
That was my first truck, dude.
Yeah, that was a great truck. I wish my dad. Well, it was my dad's truck. I wish he still had it. It was a '93. Great truck.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so that's like one of my first recordings because I also like to record, as Matthew mentioned. And yeah, and then I went to college, didn't play much, but I did start playing bass and guitar in that time. And so I also do those on the side now. But yeah, the drums moved to Seattle in 2019. COVID happened, and I didn't do anything until I met Vaughn through our friend James. That we formed a cover band.
What was the music?
It was like classic. It was called, the band's called Fat Saturn, and it was like classic rock and blues-ish covers.
Oh, okay.
We played all around. It was really the first band that I felt like I like connected with. I played with some older folks before, just like people I met through work and just anybody I could kind of play with during the COVID times. And eventually I found more of a peer group, and that's how I met Vaughn. And we actually met before that at the Jam, and then
at Benny's house.
Yeah, and at Lamplighter.
And at Lamplighter
On 85th or whatever that is, if that's still there.
When the kit was so
that was
like in pieces.
Yeah,
and you had to,
side note, we had this little jam session this little like bar jam at this place called the Lamplighter. I think Lamplighter Inn it's called. It's a
Lamplighter pub. Yeah.
It's a bar. It's a very glass walls, the best kind of acoustics.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so somebody brought a drum kit and they forgot like the snare stand and the bass drum pedal and like the throne, I think.
Yeah.
And it was like I show up, I'm like, okay, I have my snare and like my sticks, and that's all I have, and my cymbals. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. So rather than like panic, I just like made do and put the snare on a chair next to me, and then like tilted the bass drum 45 degrees and leaned it up against something and just hit it with my hands like sticks.
Sounds like
and it worked. I mean, but I remember some dude came up and he was like, what's going on with your drum kit, man? Like, it sounds good, but like, what the hell is this? So, but that was a fun little thing. So fast forward anyway. Yeah, we were as Vaughn said, we were in another band called Bad with Birds, and that sort of we were together with that. And then later, I think Vaughn hit me up. He's like, "Hey, we need a drummer for this other project. Are you interested?" And he sent me some of the tunes, or pointed me to the Spotify rather, because it was already all released. And I met with Matthew, and we jammed on Hellbound, and it gelled pretty quickly. And then I think I met JoJo a few weeks later, and the four of us got together and jammed, and it was pretty much a sold. The deal was sealed at that point. And I love playing the songs in this band. They're really high energy. They're fun. They're right up my alley in terms of the style I play. I'm very like hard rock driven, sort of like pocket drumming. I'm not really flashy. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe people would disagree with that, but I'm not one of those drummers who gets really technical like some people do. I prefer a solid groove. And so that this band is really conducive to that playing style, and it's been a lot of fun to develop both my skill and also have the ability to sort of like in Hellbound, and also the new single that's coming out whenever we just finished recording a new song. But I've had the ability to sort of write my own drum parts, which is really nice with minimal input from the band. Not saying the band shouldn't be able to steer me, but it's cool to have that sort of control and that sort of like not feeling like, hey, like am I doing the right thing here, but like just being like, hey, I think this is going to be the right groove, and it fits in, and the band loves it, and it's cool.
So, I was much like you. I started playing drums shortly after Dookie came out when I was 14, and so that was like that, and No Doubt, because No Doubt lived down the street from me. They would practice down the street from me.
That's cool.
And so I loved them, and I loved Dookie, and then I got to I was like 17 when Kryptonite came out from Three Doors Down, and I was sold. I just bought a set from that point, and I also played. Obviously, I play drums, and it is the coolest. It is the coolest beat. I love that song alone. Like, just sold me. I was like, okay, and then my mom got me into like Rush, and I got into like Tom Sawyer and things like that. And so
I would play Tom Sawyer, and when I was I think in like 8th grade as well. That was one of the songs I would play. And I wish I'd filmed a cover. I never did. I was like really perfectionistic. I didn't want to post videos if it was like wrong. And I could play it pretty well, but I can't. I messed up this fill, so I'm not. It was like really stupid. I wish I'd uploaded that stuff. Yeah. But I think
it took me forever to learn that. Like forever to try and get even 80% of it.
The endurance of that hi-hat too, a lot of it. It's also like 7, and like I didn't even know, I wasn't even counting, I know it's 7, 8, but I was just like, oh, I know how it feels here. It just this thing, right? But
going to your point of and also Vaughn, you too, like just playing and not wanting to like to go back to the beginning, like where you really should be to play stuff and learn, and I did the same thing. I went into a drum teacher, and I went to him literally the first day with Kryptonite, and I was like, I'd like to learn this, please. And he was like, we gotta start somewhere first. And I'd already had a drum set at home, so like I was like just playing everything by ear, and so I totally relate to what you're saying, because that's exactly what I did.
I think and that's the thing too. I think that there's so much value in that, like as an adult now seeing that, right? Like going back, because I still do take guitar lessons, because I filled a lot of my theory gaps through knowledge as like from my teacher, but I already know how to play it on the neck, right? So it's like I'm not spending my time trying to both learn the theory and learn the neck. And I feel like for me, that's where my learning broke down. Was I'm trying to learn the neck, I'm trying to learn the theory, and everything I'm playing is not what I actually want to learn how to play. Right? Like I'll happily learn the staff, but I hope at the same time you're teaching me White Room by Cream. Like, you got to keep me interested in the thing, because why else did you get into the thing in the beginning?
Yeah, exactly. I ended up going to music school, and eventually in my like mid 20s, early 20s, and I ended up going to learn from a teacher, and there I also learned how to play guitar, because they offered guitar class, and I was like, well, I could write songs with that. So I did that, and that I actually started from the beginning to learn how to play. But it's interesting, because I feel like that's kind of like before, I don't know, 2005. It seems as though all of us kind of learned how to do it just on our own. And a lot of people after that I've noticed, they all just kind of, they more want the theory and to go to school and to like be professional in that one thing. And so I think it's interesting. Everybody just kind of comes to it on their own beat, and how they do it. But
It's funny because we have YouTube now, so it's even easier to learn on your
yeah,
own.
and that's what I'm saying is
I'm
like,
gonna say umbrage on that. I take some umbrage to that. I think YouTube makes it harder to learn on your own because
Yeah.
you get thrown so much at you, and you think
that's a
like
good point.
without
Yeah.
the knowledge of like what's happening, like, oh, we're gonna play the Mixolydian mode today. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where do I
And
use
you're like,
that?
what's
Like,
that?
Where do I,
watching
where
Rick
do I use
Beato.
that from? Like, yeah, like you watch Rick Beato or something. It's like
he'll really overwhelm you with stuff, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's on a different planet than you are at that time. So that's kind of, and that's like how I started learning by myself too, is like through YouTube, and YouTube led me to like this website called Texas Blues Alley, which I'll always shout out Anthony Stauffer. He's in Pennsylvania, doesn't know me, but I still use his website today as a great depth of knowledge for like these blues guitar players, and like that's kind of where I learned from the neck. And then that so that website showed me like, oh, here's my holes, here's what I need to fill. I'm gonna go back and like get a teacher to fill those holes. And when I got the teacher again, finally, like when I was still in Montana when I was younger, you know, but the same teacher's like filling the holes, but he's showing me my favorite songs and like where this theory is applied. How is this
How it
applied?
works.
Like to Wes's point, right? Like that was kind of how teaching was, how I've you know, you brought that up, Wes, and I never really thought of it before. That was like kind of a similar, I shared experience with you is, you know, like where's my application for this? If you don't know where you're going to apply it or how the thing that you want to do is using this thing, you know, like then there's no point in knowing it.
Yeah, I think for me, because I knew which songs I wanted to play, and so like I didn't see lessons as almost, I actually didn't even see them as necessary as a kid, which is really, really like hubristic.
Me too.
But when I was a child, I was like, I'm as good as a fucking System of a Down drummer. I don't need
I was like, I
lessons
could do it.
because I could play the songs, and to me they sounded right. But listening, if I were to listen back, I'm sure that they'd be pretty sloppy.
100%.
Also, when you're playing with headphones on and you're just drumming and you're not listening carefully to yourself playing, there's all, you know, like I didn't learn for years that my snare drum was not consistent, and I was like, oh, I'm missing rim shots all the time, or I'm like just like when that's when I really started taking recording seriously. I was like, oh yeah, I got to really drill down and getting a consistent rim shot. You know, 'cause every good rock record has a consistent rim shot, and it's not hard, not easy to do. It's really freaking hard to do. But like but yeah, having a goal or having something to keep the spark there, I think is really huge. And then lessons can augment that. I think if you start out, and it's not for everybody, of course. Some people will really thrive from being told. Like my mom, for instance, like she can't jam. Like she plays piano, but you tell her, hey, play in G. She doesn't know how to do that. But you give her sheet music and she can play it no problem. She can sight read it and play it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's like
there are those people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like funny how there's like that. There's those two sides, and if you can get both of them, I think you're like a superhero.
Yeah, you're great. Yeah, I can't do sheet music. I can do tabs like for the guitar, that I can do, but you give me like all the notes for like, you know, like drummers have lines of them, you know, for each thing. And it's like, nope, I'm just tell me what to play or play it for me and I'll play it. Like,
yeah, I always joke, give me a week. Even then, I don't think I do need to learn. I want to learn how to chart though, just to have a way to note down if I'm especially when I'm learning a song. Like I've done fill-in gigs before, and I've just listened to the songs and played them and practiced with the band. It's been fine so far. But I feel like there may come a time where, you know, I need to learn a song in 2 days and I have the recording and I have to remember the certain fill or the break or whatever. And like knowing how to notate that stuff just for my own reference would be great. But I don't have a language for that yet.
Can't you just do it? Couldn't you just do a tab? Like you could do a tab, right?
I mean, you kind of can, but a tab on drums
kind of, it's
a little different because, you know, with the guitar you can look at the numbers, but drums it's like, how do you tabulate a rhythm?
Yeah, there's so many different lines, and you have to like, even with the even like the tab that would be for a drummer, I mean, you have like cymbals, and then you have, you know, or crash and cymbal and this and that, and it becomes, you have to kind of know how to like decipher it before you can do that. And it's crazy. It's the hardest thing. Like that's why I just listen to it, because I still to this day, 20 years later, and I can't read drum things to save my life. Like
I can
play
read the little patterns like the, you know, like the stick technique books or whatever. Like, okay, I can do that. But when it gets to
those I can do. But then, you know, you get into the bigger stuff and it's like, nope. But Matthew, did you start out with like a teacher, or how did you start?
Yeah, so a little bit different. My story is I got into music when I was pretty young in school. I actually started, I think it was like, oh God, fourth grade maybe. Like my school had a music program, and I think they pretty much made everyone join, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
cool. So, but I don't remember how I chose, but I chose the trumpet.
That's
And
cool.
I was a trumpet player, and I actually was pretty good, and I played a lot, and I used to practice. I took lessons, and I actually learned how to read music at that time, and I could just put up a piece of sheet music as to my ability and play it,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And but then as I got older, I kind of drifted away from music. I think I kind of got caught up in none of my like close friends did music. Like I had friends within the
Yeah.
music, but I got like
Yeah.
pulled away from it. And I did a lot of like sports because that was kind of, which I don't regret doing, but it's still, I do always regret not kind of keeping music as much as I did initially. And then I got my first guitar when I was probably like, I think I was like 11 or 12, and
Wow.
my dad bought me a like one of those starter like Ibanez guitar
Yeah.
packs that got like the
Yeah.
amp and the
What was your
guitar.
first song you learned how to play, Matt?
Don't make me say it.
You're
Smoke
right.
on the
Yeah.
water.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I played Smoke on the Water, of course. But so I played, and I took it pretty seriously. Like I did play, but I always, something I kind of did wish, and I did take some lessons, which I think were really helpful. But I did feel similar, where you're kind of like, what's the point of this? But I think it helped me kind of develop some decent like technique, I guess, especially with the
Yeah.
guitar. Like I feel like guitar can be tough, and I would imagine with the drums as well. People like when I've tried to help people, like I noticed they really struggle with the mechanics of it.
Mhm.
And I think that's something, if you can learn early on, like it's so much easier to learn the instrument.
Great.
Because like learning the neck and stuff like that just takes time. But like people just, even like the strumming is like when they're adults, and
Yeah.
they really struggle with it. So I think I was really lucky to kind of have a teacher that showed me, and he was my trumpet teacher as well, and he just was like a really like older music guy that was like, he wasn't interested necessarily in rock music, but that's what I wanted to do. And then the other thing I kind of regret was like I tried to play songs that were outside of my ability at the time, because I would just like want to play, like I love that song, but I like
Fire and Flames.
yeah, I just like couldn't do it. And I think that was also a little discouraging, when I should have just like kind of like cool, I can play a song. And again, I didn't really have like the community to like play with.
Yeah.
And because my friends weren't really playing, where it's like I think a lot of people that play music when they're younger, they like that's like what they do with their friends, and they like jam. And I didn't really have that, so I kind of lost it. And then when I got back into it was in college. Long story short, basically my girlfriend at the time was like, we were going through a breakup, and this other guy that she was interested in with, I remember her being like, I was like, what's so great about this guy or whatever, and she's like, he plays the drums or something like that, like he plays an instrument. And
Oh, if only they said that.
yeah. And I recently listened to the band. They're not that good. I re-listened to them. It just popped up in my mind, the name of the band. He wasn't that great of a drummer. I should send it to you, Wes. But
You won.
I won. But anyways, it was the best thing that came out of that was I remember having a thought. I was like, what? I was like, I can play an instrument, like whatever. Like I could do that. Like I did that before. Like it's not that great. Like I could do it. So I went out and bought like an acoustic guitar. To like just pick up the guitar again, and then at that point I like started playing. And I goes, oh yeah, I really like doing this, and like all kind of like came back to me of like being a kid and like playing music, and then I was able to kind of find some people in college that also played. Who was in my first another different Chris. He played guitar, and we would like get together, and I actually like had someone to play with, and I think that was really helpful. And that was my first experience like outside of trumpet, like playing with people, and that was like a big transition too. Like I don't think people realize, unless you're a musician, like you might be able to play your instrument really well, but playing with other people is a different skill. Yeah, it's a whole other skill that's like, so that's really fun to learn, and it's just like made it so much more fun. Like I like playing by myself, but like playing with people like is what the joy I think of music, and sharing that, and whether you're listening or playing in the band, like that's the real joy of it, because it's just like a really cool connection. And playing in a rock band, it's just like it's so fun. Like it's so fun, and especially with these guys, like they're so good. Like they're all so good, and it makes me better. And because think
Yeah.
I'm the worst musician of the band. That's that's facts. It's just what it is. But I bring other things to the band that's not necessarily technical skill. But with that being said, it's just really fun. Like when you're like, oh wow, these people they're so good, and you're just like, and you're in lock with each other and hitting. So it's just so fun. And I think if I had more of that, I probably would have stuck with it a bit more. So still, like I still feel like kind of like a baby in many ways, especially with like writing songs and doing that side of things. But I think that's also served me well because I think I kind of, again, limitation, the lesson I learned was like, hey, like I kind of need to know where I'm at with stuff. Cause I think sometimes people, they like, not that's bad to push yourself, but like, especially in songwriting, like you don't need to do anything crazy to like get people's
Yes.
attention. And I think people that are really solid musicians, like they get bored with it, that they think like other people will be bored, that like, we like to say keep things simple, like keep it simple, stupid kind of deal.
I call that like
Yeah.
the jazz student syndrome, where like all
And then,
Yes.
the Berkeley kids try to write the most
Right.
crazy shit.
and
Yeah.
that has its place, but like most people don't connect, like that's not how people connect with music, and that's not how I connect. Like I like really big riff, simple stuff that like great rock music. That's just what I
Yeah.
like. And like that, it's like Wes says, like groovy stuff. Like he locked in immediately. It's like I just won't need it to have a groove. Like if it doesn't have some, you'll just lose me, and I can't latch on to anything.
Yeah.
So that's like what we've always tried to do with the songs. Is just like not try to like, and that's why I like always, I mean, I'll throw his name, like Kurt Cobain. Like he always, I felt like, especially in his guitar playing, like he never tried to do anything so flash.
Crazy.
Like it just like,
Yeah.
hey, does this serve the song? Like that's always
Yeah.
like, does this serve the song? Like that's how I like to approach songwriting, and like being like, not does this make me like feel like I'm the best guitar player, best singer ever? Is like, oh no, or is this just like something that makes sense for this? Because I think the song is its own thing that we're trying to like create,
Yeah.
not like if I'm trying to just rip a solo, is that, I don't know, does that start helping the song? I don't know. It makes more sense to have like melodic stuff that people can attach to. So anyways,
Yeah.
that's like having a limitation. I felt like in being new to this has kind of allowed me to be more humble and less ego about things, that I think actually has created a little more success in writing good songs, that
Yeah.
I'm very proud of what we've done. So it's just like, but again, not because we worked with someone before that was like, all right, let's try to play something that's like, or write a song like Sultans of the Swing. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like I've written like 4 songs in my life. Like, let's chill out. It's like, that's like, but that's the thing is like, you have that mentality of like, hey, like, let's do something so out there. And you're like, dude, no one's gonna want to
Yeah.
listen to that. Cause he'd be like, this is boring. Like, I'd say like, this is easy. It's boring. I'm like, that doesn't mean it's bad.
No, Matthew, you have to do
Yeah.
a 2-minute guitar solo with
Yeah.
just your fingers, no
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah.
I tried to learn how to play with my feet, and it wasn't. So, but no,
Nothing but
that's
volume swells the whole time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
You gotta be
yeah,
like Mark Knopfler, man. Come on.
Yeah, come
yeah.
on.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not. That's the thing. It's
Get
like
your Silvertone, get a red Strat.
yeah, maybe that's. I just gotta look the part. But yeah, so that's kind of a little background of my playing, and my dad is a big like. I want to give him credit for getting me into music. Like he's just a big lover of music and never played.
Scott.
Was an amateur singer, probably our number 1 fan. But yeah, it's my dad Scott. He was very like, he got me my first guitar and like really encouraged me.
Amazing.
Yeah, so really cool to, and always living like vicariously through my music skills.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Scott's a real one. Scott's a real one, man.
he's a real one. He's a real one. So if you're out there listening, which I'm sure he will eventually, he'll send me a text in a couple days, be like, listen to the episode, good. So but anyways, yeah, so that's a little bit of background of my
He's got a like comment how he feels about it.
I don't think, I doubt he's on East Coast time, so I doubt he's actually watching it right now. But
No, I mean like
you mean later.
whenever
I
he
see.
watches it.
Okay.
Whenever he watches it.
Dad, if you can figure out how to use YouTube and comment on here, you leave a message for us, okay?
He doesn't know how to like a story.
No, he's pretty. He's not. He can deal with technology. He's on
He's
Facebook.
Yeah. That's pretty much the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, right.
Well, going into your guys' music, the bulk of the music, is that you, Matthew, that writes the bulk of it, or is it kind of you guys all just kind of come together and just jam, or how does that work for you guys?
It's super collaborative.
That's cool.
I think typically the process is like, we start with some sort of riff, and then kind of build from there. And I like to keep as like, facilitating and being more the the leader of the band, like I want a very collaborative environment. Like I think, and I'm glad Wes feels that way, because I think I don't know anything about playing drums. Like I don't know. Like so, it's like I know what I can bring, and Vaughn brings something. Like I think bringing everyone's skill together and their thoughts like makes what it is really special. And there are people out there that are more like a composer, maybe mine, that like are capable of doing that, but I'm not that person. I'm very much go off of a feel of like, oh, that's cool or that's not cool, but at the end of the day, like I want people to like enjoy what they're doing, and I think I want to be collaborative. Like I want people to give their input, and I think, and I work in an industry that's very much that way, video production. So it's like kind of bringing that same mentality into like, hey, like because I know a lot of bands like they write where it's one person's kind of leading stuff, and it can be on the flip side of things. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes we don't maybe make a decision, but I think everyone's so cool that we tend to come to an agreement, and it's not like no one's gonna die on a hill for. Oh, do we lose you? No one's gonna die on a hill for something, because I something I appreciate also is like there's zero egos. Like no one's trying to make a big deal about stuff. So I think, but we usually start with like a riff, and then we'll go jam it, and then I guess for sure, like I tend to do more like the lyric side of things. Like I'll go and write the lyrics, but the melodies, like I'm open to if someone has an idea for that and like kind of allow it. But again, I'm very much like, what is a song? Like, what is it serving the song? So like allow it to kind of naturally evolve as we jam it and get, and like, and even like you get some really cool stuff with just like playing together and being spontaneous. Like, I think it's tough to like, at least from my experience, like writing a song in a vacuum, like you just like to sit down and be like, okay, like it's going to go like, again, like I don't have that composer mind. Like it's very like has to be, allow that spontaneity and like being together and that energy to create the song, and then getting input and like hearing people's thoughts, because I and trusting each other. But I mean, and then the lyrics kind of come at the end, and I think I like that because it also, what does the song feel like? I don't know how to like write like something out and then be like, okay, now we're gonna write the song to these words. Like I think it should have a feeling of like the song. I will say Hellbound kind of I wrote more than the like in terms of like it happening very fast. Like I had that, like Vaughn said, I kind of already had a little bit of the outline, but they came in and really like beefed it up because it was just me with
brought it to life.
I mean, I literally I was just playing like 4 chords and singing. That was like all there was. And then everyone, and then Wes's drumming and Vaughn's lead guitar and JoJo's rhythm bass that he like was able to add some different stuff in there, made it more special, and like it's just so incredible to hear my phone recording of me in my apartment just like recording this song, and then now it's like cool, it's like this is a fully recorded size. It's really fun to do. I love that part of it, like where it's just like it starts with just like one riff idea that you have recorded from a year or two ago on your phone, and then you're like, oh, what if this could be cool, and then you just like slowly build it. And it's hard, it's really hard to do, but it's super rewarding. And
I heard there wasn't a bridge at first, and then I think
that's right,
the idea was just there was no bridge, and then the 4 of us collaborated to come up with a bridge. Like this song needs a bridge. We can't go with a bridge.
See, that was a battle I lost. That was a hill I didn't.
I can't remember how I won actually.
Vaughn didn't want the bridge. See, he didn't die on the hill. He almost left the band at that point.
Like, fuming out of the room. But this is definitely like why we work well together, though, because I think like I believe in the idea of like spontaneity. Like you have a spontaneous idea that you like, and then you hone it. Like, oh, this feels good, this sounds good, let's take this idea and let's like clear away the clouds, let's whittle away the ore and get to the gold here, and I think that's sort of how we've operated. And since the 4 of us have been in a band together, that's sort of how it's come to be.
No one
you guys have a favorite one that you've go ahead, Vaughn. Sorry.
No, I just had Matt's point. Like, no one writes in a vacuum here, and I feel like when you do write in a vacuum, that's when you get married to stuff, and that's when you don't do things that serve the song, or like you will die on a hill because you're married to, because it's all you've been listening to, right? It's like anything else in the world. That's all you're hearing. It's you're wedded to it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I can see how like you guys are so like collective, like you just kind of bring it all together, and you can tell by just how you talk about each other that there's very much a teamwork there in your band. With the songs, does that translate onto stage too, and you guys are very just like candid on stage and kind of let it happen? and just go with the flow, or is it more like we have to stick to what it is on stage?
I'm not sure if I understand. Do you mean like in terms of like, do we play the
Like you
songs
take a song,
differently?
like you take one of your songs, and do you guys like expand it like longer, or
Oh, I see.
have a longer riff or whatever? Like, is it just
Uh,
like kind of what it is,
yeah.
or
Yeah, I guess I could speak to that because some of the songs were kind of before they were all in the band too. So we've also, I think, found some way. Like, because I also was like, hey, like you can play it as you want on the record, but I'm also open if to like make this better,
else?
So like I
Yeah.
think, and also something that's a big change is adding a lead guitar because it was just a 3-piece before, and
Okay.
then that's been a real kind of like where you see the growth of it because there's only so much Wes can do differently to the riff
Yes.
or like
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean he definitely adds. I think you have a lot of your own type of fills and
I
things
think
that
you mean Vaughn, right? Or me?
no, I was saying with
Oh.
like drums, like
Oh, yeah.
there's only so much you can add different from a
I was
pre-recorded
gonna say, yeah,
song.
I try not to stray too far from the recordings, but I definitely have my own like fingerprint.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to the
Yeah,
recordings, but
that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay. Yeah.
I try to keep it true to what's on the recordings for the most part. Like I don't change the feel, but like the fills will be slightly different. Or I think we might have even added. There might be some songs where we might have added a small section or something.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
some differences from the recording, and but again, like I wanted them to have like their own kind of ownership of it as well, and especially Vaughn has his own, and he can talk about that more of like how he approached like just because we didn't really have a lead. I mean,
Creativity.
I played both, so I mean, there's lead parts, but it's not the same. It's just a different mindset when you have like
Yeah.
two different guitars going, and there's so much more you can do. So it's really exciting to kind of add that on, and I think just from how everyone approaches how they play, like the songs, like they sound great recorded, but like I think live is a great experience to listen to them because it's kind
Yeah.
of it has its own life that's different than the
Yes.
recording in a really
Yeah.
awesome way that I think is better. Like I
Oh man,
mean,
we gotta do a live album.
yeah, I know we still
Once
talk about doing a
yeah.
live album. I mean, it wouldn't, yeah, that would be fun because it's special. Like when we first started playing together, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. Like it's just locked in really well and has its own special life to it. But Vaughn, if you want to add on from your perspective
Yeah,
of the
I think Matt,
Yeah.
and I know JoJo would say this too. I think that the live aspect of our band is one thing that we've always gotten a lot of great feedback for, and I think that live these songs really do come together, and it just kind of reminds me of, and I mean like it reminds me of like listening to Kiss's first three records, and they're kind of blah, but then like when you listen to
Yeah.
the Kiss album Alive, and like there it's you can like you can almost see the show and like the spectacle that is a Kiss show. Never seen one,
Yeah.
but like you can tell they definitely had an energy and an edge live. And I think that while like to Matt's point, like the recordings that they have beforehand, they're great. Like I wouldn't be here if I didn't think they were great. And if I did, I wouldn't be interested if I wasn't interested in them, I wouldn't be here, in the first place. But like I think that everyone comes together really well live. And when it came to like adding lead guitar over some of Matt's stuff or like some of the riffs, like I feel like we kind of searched for natural places where like a bona fide solo, like a guitar solo that kind of takes off might fit in one of these songs or something like that. And there's a lot of stuff that Matt do, and he'll sell himself short. But Matt's guitar playing serves the songs really well. And there's a lot of stuff like off those first records that I mind as the player that like because you can tell he was intentional about it. And it's like, I can sit here and be noodly over this, and what does that okay, cool. Like that's fine. But
Right.
like so depending on the solo, like if it was a song that had a guitar solo from Matt originally, and if there was like some pieces in there that I thought, man, this is a glue to this thing, and this is a main part of this song, like, I certainly kept it in there. And like one that comes to mind is um uh Girl Named Place. In Girl Named Place, there's the solo section. We change keys in it. Matt takes the part that's in the key of D, and I think generally you play that true to form, like the way you wrote it. And then I take the part that's in E, which is where I think the solo really lifts off. And one thing Matt does way better than I do is he uses that whammy pedal, which is the pitch shifting pedal,
Yeah.
that very effectively. But so then on that part in E, I take off, and I'm a different player than him, so it sounds differently. But then when that comes out and we go back into the key of D, there's a lick that you do and it goes from the third, the second, and then back to the root on D. And I got to keep that in there because that's how that whole thing ends, and it always ends so well like that. So, yeah, so that's kind of my approach to it. Was like, I didn't come in there and I didn't want to change how the riffs are being played. To Wes's point, also, like, I'm not gonna go in there and think like this is a song that's been out for 2 years. This is a song that people have heard before. This is like they expect a certain thing. I'm not gonna rewrite
Yeah.
the riff. But when it comes to a solo section, that's where I'll put my own stamp in it. And if I felt
Yeah.
like that Matt had a particular lick or a particular melody that glued that solo section together, I kept it in there and either used it as a launching point or like, a milestone on a map of where I'm improvising and where I'm coming back to.
Yeah, that's amazing. You guys definitely answered the question, though I asked it very obscurely. I was just curious if you guys kind of were able coming into a band that already had things, if you were able to like go from the
Yeah.
recordings to live and do your own thing and be able
And
to
then
put your own thing to
Yeah,
it.
and then because I do that live, the live version is different than the recorded version.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, like sometimes there's an extended solo at the end of a song, or the solo is extended in the middle. And there's a lot of times where, I'll be playing and I might think I'm done, and Wes might decide we're not. And I kind of look at him, and if he's still going, I'm like, all right, I'm still, I'm still going. And so then that I wouldn't certainly say that we very rarely will like live jam something for the sake of jamming it. That's not our MO.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
our stage show. But that does come into play. So we do have to have that communication. Like our live show is very, very, very tight, and we know our P's and Q's, but like there is still space for improvisation, just based to the skill of the rhythm section behind me, and like JoJo and Wes are absolutely fantastic, and the communication with Matt, and his guitar is so heavy, like that. Matt's got one of a kind guitar tone, and that's in the fingers, and it's how it's how he plays that silver tone. No one can play
yeah.
it like so. Yeah, so
Thank you, Matt.
there's it definitely the live show does change the recorded songs.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I think that's what makes people unique, and being able to have a band that has evolved through people and being able to kind of let them be creative too, even though you have songs from before, being able to kind of put their own spin on it um and be able to bring it alive in their own way, right? Have you been pretty happy, Matt, with like kind of the songs you've had before and being able to just let everybody do their own thing with the things that have they made it better?
Yeah, they 100% made it better, and there would be times that it's really cool to like, I have these moments sometimes where I think about like, wow, like these people are here playing a song that like they weren't necessarily 100% a part of, and are willing to like give it their all to
Yeah.
like be playing together. It's like really cool, and yeah, like it's noticeably. And not to knock the people I played with before, like I really enjoy
No,
playing with
yeah.
them, and like shout out to Chris, who was a big part of that. But it is its own special thing that I feel like, okay, cool, this is like a new chapter that I'm a part of with them. That's really exciting, and I also want to add, like, I'm really excited about the future, as we're like, there was a bit of a learning curve in the sense of like not necessarily playing with each other, but like getting the songs down, like playing the live shows, getting the show together. And now, like, I think next year's goal is really to like write new songs and put and work together in that way a bit more. So I'm super excited about that because it's already been going really well. This song that Wes mentioned is super kick ass. That's like gonna be. I'm super stoked, and I think really kind of goes back to that roots of Bad Honey too, that it harnesses, but also with like a new flair to it with everyone else with the new lineup. So
Yeah.
I'm super stoked about that. But yeah, to answer your question, like, yeah, I've been more than happy. Like, I mean, I had accepted at one point that this was over, and then not even knowing, like, am I even going to play in a band again? I don't know. And then
Yeah.
and I to Vaughn's credit, it just kind of was very serendipitous for the timing, because he didn't know about at the time, like, we were kind of done, and he just reached out, and I was just like, like, I think it's so hard to build, make a band, not that we were
Yes.
at this huge point, but it's like, hey, I put a lot of years and time into even getting to here. Like, why throw it away? And if they're cool with keeping it going, like, I'm more than happy to be flexible to like fit you all in and make it a new thing,
Yeah.
but also still have kind of the roots of Bad Honey
Where it
and
came
you know,
from.
and just being it's just evolving, you know, and I think that's part of any project, you know, especially a
Yeah.
creative project. But yeah, more than happy with what they've been bringing, and I mean exceeded expectations, and just really excited to get back to like writing some songs together and getting more stuff out, because I think that's kind of the next big step for us, is to like, okay, how, especially being a little bit old, like we're in our 30s, not, I won't say older, but we're in our 30s. You know, I'm having a baby soon. Vaughn has a
Speak for
baby.
yourself, dude.
Yeah.
He's not.
Who?
He's not.
Wes, that's true. Wes is our young 29-year-old, right?
1 year left.
Yeah. So, but to say it's harder to get together and do stuff. So we want to prioritize that to, like, you know, put out new stuff,
Yeah.
and I think we have that, you know, really exciting future ahead of us. To like, cool, like we know we play well together. Everyone's super talented. Like, let's put this, you know, down on some recordings of some
Yeah.
new stuff that we have, and get it out there, especially in this world of, you know, getting that content out, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
content, but but yeah, just
Right.
get a new song, like, because we have some really cool stuff that we just, you know, just needed people to get out for people, and this new tune that, yeah, like Wes said, we don't know exactly when it's coming out, but super exciting about it. Super heavy, got really awesome
Tracks
groove.
are laid down, and they're
Yeah,
pretty banging.
it's pretty, yeah, we're
That's
super
cool.
excited about it. So yeah, definitely next year it'll be out. So early next year will be the goal.
Are you guys thinking of doing like a whole album before to do that? Or are you gonna do
Yeah,
like what
Sing-
everybody's doing is kind of do the
yeah,
single thing and then
just singles. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's tough to, I mean, I'd love to record a bunch at the same time and then release, but I mean, if it's cool if you want to do an album EP, that's awesome. Like, I don't, you know, I think that's awesome, but I think unfortunately just the way, yeah, it's just kind of getting singles out is just the way to go at the moment. And we're just in an interesting spot where, like, some of these songs are a bit older, so it's kind of like we're still playing them and they're kind of fresh, but we also like need to kind of put out new stuff. And so that's like the next year's goal, is to, like, I mean, big goals, new songs, and, you know, and keep going for those bigger shows, like those festivals and stuff like that, because we've kind of did our circuit around town, and practicing and just trying to get out there and do those bigger shows, to get in front of more people, but also, like, again, getting more new songs out there, because that gets people kind of a little more engaged, and keep you a little more relevant, right? You know, because some of these songs are so 2019, 2020. So but you know what I mean. So yeah, we'll get there, and yeah, super excited about the future with these guys.
Yep.
Fantastic. Is there a place you guys kind of all want to play? Do you guys have like an individual place, or
KEXP?
Yeah,
Yeah.
KEXP. That would be awesome.
Or Easy Street Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, those are pretty top notch for sure.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Well, hey, that'd be a motivator to get like either an EP or an album out. Would be to play Easy Street, because we could play the release show there.
Yeah, you really could. Yeah.
Not just a hat rack.
If we were to pack 3 or 4 songs onto a physical release.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was worked over there. Okay.
Well, I know a few other folks I played with have done that, so that's
did a release.
Me too. Yeah.
Well, let's get
a lot of artists.
waiting.
That seems to be like a popular thing that a lot of people want to do, is like have their album released there. And Easy Street is all about it. I mean, since they've moved to Westlake, West Seattle, be in downtown Seattle, and since they moved over there, they've been able to do that.
I didn't know they were in downtown.
They were at one point, and then I think they closed it or moved it. It was a long time ago.
It was a bit ago, though, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really long time ago.
Yeah.
And then they opened the one that was on California in Alaska, and I think
it's a great location.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Perfect location for sure. Yeah, but that's a cool thing to do. Like, if I had a band, I would do that too, because that's just a really awesome place to kind of, you have an intimate setting, and, you know, just, you know, half an hour or an hour of songs or something like that, and it's a lot of fun. I've been to a few of them, and it's a pretty cool place. So I agree with that. KEXP I've had a few friends that have been on KEXP and lately, and man, that's cool. Like, to be on their side, and such an iconic radio station for the city. I definitely If you guys can get on there, like make it happen.
Yeah.
Cool, 'cause
I mean,
I feel like they have a good audience on like YouTube and stuff too.
They
So
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
from
I
other
mean, it's like a
parts.
national. That's like a national level, I
Yeah.
think.
Like I've learned
for-
of
They
bands that I
really
like
are.
through KXP before
Mhm.
even knowing they were a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're amazing. I think they really champion for local artists too, which is so cool. And
Yeah.
every genre, it's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely something that's very special about Seattle that we have in Seattle
Yeah.
that not many places, like an independent radio station like that's going real strong and
For
really
sure.
lifting up
Yeah.
local, especially the local scene, especially, but also
Yeah.
just independent artists. Like I think that's really awesome.
Just
That
supporting it.
so
Yeah.
very unique in this day and age for sure.
Exactly. And I think also, coming from the pandemic and it really shutting down the idea of at the time of everybody thinking that it wouldn't be something that we would have anymore, for them to
Mhm.
kind of step up and be like, here, we'll play your music on our radio,
Mhm.
until something happens. And with venues kind of falling off and all that kind of thing, I just think it was really
Mhm.
awesome for them to step up and do that. And that's a
Absolutely.
cool goal for you guys too, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like you said, a lot of people listen. And
Mhm.
so you're not only kind of in the space of your own city, but also in a iconic radio station
Plus, I
too.
feel like if you land on KXP, that shows bookers and other people who are interested in
That's
getting you to
awesome.
play. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, this band's good enough to be in KXP. Yes, we'll
Yeah.
have them at our
Yeah,
festival.
they think they're gonna.
passed the
Yeah.
smell test. They passed the smell test.
Yeah, yeah.
Smell.
Yeah.
As Vaughn puts it.
That's Montana-ism coming out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One's got a lot of those.
Yeah, I do.
I think Wes has got a boogie here.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah,
run here in
I
a minute,
see that.
unfortunately.
Let's just wrap up then.
Okay.
You guys have been fantastic, and I appreciate you. And you're
appreciate
more
you.
than welcome to come back on anytime.
And we'll
and-
play next
We'll
time.
play.
Yeah.
We can pick up all these conversations in season. Was it season 5 next time, or is this
Yeah,
season?
it's season 6. Season 5
Oh,
is
nice.
this year.
Hey,
Yeah,
congratulations
I'm on
on
6.
6 seasons.
That's awesome.
man.
Good for you.
Cool.
That's awesome. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you. That's
but-
incredible.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having us. You do really cool things for this scene. You've been on my
Yeah.
radar for quite a while. We are
Thank
thrilled to
you.
be here chatting with you, and to be doing it also from the Idaho border is impressive.
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
want
it's
we want you
definitely-
back. We want you back. Come back.
And the Canadian border too. So good. Good
Yeah,
on you.
right there on the tip. But I love doing it, and I love bringing on like just great bands, and especially ones that are so integral in the city, and also people just like coming on. So yeah, it's been a long journey. I think you guys make like number 585, I think, of interviews or something like that. I stopped counting at 500, so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
That's
good. I'm
fair.
over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a journey for sure. But I love doing it, and I will do it forever. So,
Cool.
until I can get on KXP, I don't know.
Hey, yeah.
But yeah, thank you. But
Yeah.
I loved having you guys on. You're amazing people and amazing musicians, and I do love your music. I got to hear some of it, so I'm
Thank you, Cara.
excited for if you
Thank
come, if and when you come back on next year, maybe we can play some of it on the show.
We will. We'll have JoJo get us all mic'd up nice, so it'll sound
Yeah.
good, and we'll do it properly. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be super fun. Yeah, sorry, and it's also timing wise. Like I said, my wife's due like
100%.
any day now, so
Yeah.
it'll be a little bit better next time for us. But
Yeah.
we'd be more than happy to play.
Yeah,
That's
that would be great.
Got her on the way. She's coming
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's her name? Do you have one yet?
We do, but we're not saying anything. It'll be
Oh,
a surprise. And
Alrighty
probably
then.
won't put her on social media, so people probably won't ask me in person when after she's born. But yeah, so yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course, anytime. Well, everybody, that ends season 5, and come and check these guys out. They are fantastic. They're in Seattle, so be sure to check them out. And does any one of you want to give socials so they know where to go?
Yep, Bad Honey Band on Instagram and Facebook as well. But
Yeah,
Instagram is the
Facebook.
best place to keep an eye on what we're doing, and also follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all them streaming platforms. But yeah, and
Yeah,
then we
awesome.
keep it pretty up
And
to date with
recently,
stuff. So
we are active on Threads now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yay, there you
that's
go.
what? Oh, can't wait to hear what we threaded. All right,
Sometimes sometimes
All
I
right.
forget if it's my own thread or if it's the band. So sometimes
Oh,
there's
God, oh, no.
on there.
It's gonna be a lot too much
Either
Bills.
way,
It's gonna be
it's
Bills
good to
stuff.
go.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
Bills comments. All right. Well, thank you for
All right,
having
All
us.
right.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Adios.
Bye.